Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Before we get started, we just wanted to give you this link for today's slides if you'd like to follow along. It's also available in the notes underneath the video. If you've ever used a bit.ly link before, they are case sensitive, so it's bit.ly/poet with a capital P and then TECH, all capitals.
So you're probably wondering, who exactly are these two? Oh, good, some tech people. This should be really super fun for me. Don't worry, we're actually passionate English teachers who are simultaneously student-centered and tech-savvy. We will never advocate for tech that is not 100% student-centered, and we may even tell you about some tech-free options today. I'm Kate Meyer. Kate, the teacher wise, using tech with prose and verse, learning modernized. I am one of eight MLTI 2.0 ambassadors in a 2-year position with the Department of Education. As ambassadors, we have 3 focus areas: digital citizenship, technology integration, and digital instructional design. Prior to and after my work as an ambassador, I am an English teacher and a design thinking teacher at Mount Desert Island High School in Bar Harbor.
Jonathan Warner, English in Philly, but veered off the road. Law for a decade, made this prince a toad. Back to the classroom for 5 years, but boom, discovered that EdTech can transform the room. I'm also one of the 8 MLTI 2.0 ambassadors and will return to my work as the tech integrator at Cape Elizabeth Middle School when my term ends in June. As you're enjoying today's slam or Poetech showcase, we have some advice for you. You might want to follow along and sort of take notes on your own. That's totally fine. But you may also just want to focus on what we're saying and go back to the slides later. You may decide you want to jump out to the links at this point. Remember, you can always pause us. We're not going anywhere, and come back when you like, but we're going to be going quite quickly. So as we're working, just to be aware, nothing that we're doing at this speed is something we expect you to be learning at this speed. We're just trying to give you kind of maximize your efficiency and give you as much time as we can. So as you're looking at the slides, if you click on them, with a simple click, knowledge expands, blue links and red books at your command. Information flows like running sands, expanding horizons with the touch of a hand. So across the top there, you'll see we have blue links. Anywhere in a slide you see that, it'll take you to specific information about what we're talking about. And then if you see a red book along the bottom there, that'll take you to more general information, sort of background information, things that might be useful as you're working to develop further knowledge in one of these areas. So if you want to think about this in more global terms, this slam, if you with patient ears attend, what here shall miss, our slides shall strive to mend. So prologue's behind us. Act 1 is going to explore tech tools that engage without being focused on entertaining. Too often, we're fighting the distractions that devices create in our classrooms, but we've both found some great tools that actually engage without getting us off track. So now it's time for a breakdown, literally. It's 2003. Mr. Warner, the dog ate my note cards and I spilled coffee on them, and also my mom used the box for recipes, and now it's 2013. Ms. Meyer, I did all this work in a Google Doc and it's not here, and also I can't find anything in that new Google Doc that you made me make, and I mean, all I see is words, words, words. And now it's 2023. So Kate, there has got to be a way to do the kinds of amazing inquiry projects that you're assigning and not encountering either of these problems, right? The interweb has got to have a solution here.
A digital curation, Wakelet, a perfect station for inspiration. Wakelet is a free digital curation platform where teachers and students can curate a mix of content for easy access. Wakelet is a really broad platform that can be used in many ways, making it a creative way to be engaging with students. If you think of a media feed on a platform like Pinterest, that's a little bit like what Wakelet feels like, a recognizable platform for teachers and students that can make sharing a mix of digital content easy. From social media posts to videos to images and links, this lets you collate it all in one stream. These combinations are known as wakes and can be easily created and shared with a single link, making any collection widely accessible for students, teachers, and families. Some great examples of wakes include curated professional resources. Here's an example of resources I've curated for you on a wake, which you can access by clicking on the blue link under the images on this slide. It can be used for lesson plans, newsletters, group projects, research assignments like this one from my colleague's sociology class, where students are curating resources and writing annotations around a class topic, portfolios, and reading recommendations. The ability to follow others, like on a social media platform, makes it easy to build a list of useful regular creators who you can get ideas from, or you can copy their wakes to use in class. Wakes can be shared either publicly or privately. This allows students to share with one another without their work being exposed to the public if they want creative privacy. If you click on the red book in the corner, it will take you to a great resource called 12 Curation Projects for Students and Teachers with Wakelet. John Hattie taught us to make thinking visible, but how do we do that when our students are working collaboratively and I have to monitor 5 small groups? It's impossible.
Is it, Kate? Because I found that with Jamboard, collaborative tools make brainstorming a breeze. Students can share ideas with such ease, feedback and input from peers they receive, a creative process that's hard to believe. The platform is simply a place to aggregate ideas digitally, just like you might in a physical classroom by handing out Post-its and having kids come up to the board and walk over to various stations around the room. It does have a number of intentional limitations in terms of what you can post on a particular frame. For example, there's no way to add a live link, but those limitations can work to your advantage if you craft a great activity that capitalizes on Jamboard's best features. But how do you do that if you don't yet know the platform? Pretty easy. All hail, friends, the power of templates. Why do the work when you have seasoned professionals who will help you do it? Not to mention that your end product will end up looking amazing and be all the more engaging because of its aesthetic appeal. Kate and I have used templates for docs in various programs like Jamboard, and with enormous success in Google Slides and Keynote. I've linked you to the templates created by Slides Carnival, which we love, just to give you one example of the amazing options that are out there. Bottom line, next time you need to create something visual, do a little digging first and see if there's a template you can start from and then customize to meet your needs. It beats reinventing the wheel, especially if design is not your jam. I'm the worst. Okay, so templates rock, but before I show you the selection of template options for Jamboard, let me remind you what I said earlier. We really meant it when we say we've included all the links in these slides. So you can circle back as slowly as you like. You can pause the video, as I said. There's the links down in the corner, but this is not intended to teach you at the speed we're going, just to introduce the tools so you can take a look at them later. So the templates you see here come from Ashley Bible, who does a lot of work in her ELA classroom on Jamboard, both with students in person and also remotely. The first example of many others she offers is the 3-2-1 talk takeoff, where students ask 3 questions, offer 2 quotes, and then provide 1 insight. Jamboards can also have multiple frames, which you might think of as multiple pages or multiple slides. So Ms. Bible assigns 1 frame per student and then has them review and comment on each other's ideas. Her second template relies on See, Feel, Wonder, an activity that is perfectly suited to Jamboard or to which Jamboard is perfectly suited depending on your point of view. And then finally, we have Ms. Bible's really cool acrostic poem template. Kids collaborate on a single frame and then create mix and match poems by choosing one of their own or one of their peers' Post-its per letter of the word. Again, as I said, these are just 3 of many, many more she offers. And as a supplementary resource, the red book in the corner will take you to Make Way for Tech, where Catherine Averkamp, another great user of Jamboard as a tool in classrooms, offers 100 more amazing ideas, both with and without templates. Okay, we can all agree that it's really exciting to hear from our kids, but it's also difficult to find creative ways to facilitate students being able to share their perspectives and voices on issues that they get passionate about. Meanwhile, backstage, I'm constantly hearing urgent reminders on my administrative headset. I have to be assessing, speaking, listening. But traditional classroom discussion is not a level playing field for determining students' skills in either of these 2 areas, speaking or listening. So what do we do, Kate?
Through podcasting, students find their voice, and with choice, their passion they rejoice. In the classroom, they share their unique view, empowered their learning journey anew. Like any student-led project, podcasting with students will cultivate skills that will last a lifetime. Podcasting requires students to talk through their decision-making with their peers, illustrate reasoning for those decisions, and critically analyze what should be done if things don't go as planned. They will practice project management and learn how to encourage each other while also giving clear feedback on what their scripts should include or avoid. Podcasting projects will amplify your students' voices, and this is a powerful way for your students to express themselves, cultivate their creativity, showcase their learning, and learn the art of storytelling. Teachers can make podcasts for students that step them through assignments and projects, explain challenging concepts, and direct students to additional resources. Parents can also benefit from student or teacher podcasts that provide information on what the class is working on, upcoming projects, class and school-wide activities, and homework tips. Students can also collaborate on a class-wide podcast that offers a living record of student accomplishments and class activities, with every student contributing reports over the year. My two favorite platforms for podcasting are WeVideo and Anchor. WeVideo for Education is a freemium platform. Students can use WeVideo to capture all the audio they will need to produce a podcast independently, and it has a low learning curve. I taught 8th graders how to use it in under 5 minutes. My other favorite tool for podcasting with students is Anchor. Anchor completely demystifies the whole podcasting experience. Students can record and mix all in one easy drag and drop space. My high school students love it because there's also an Anchor app, so they can record interviews on the go. The one downside is that it's now owned by Spotify. So unlike WeVideo, which is a closed and private platform, podcasts created with Anchor are not private. However, as I always tell my students, Spotify really buries our podcasts that we make, to the point where I can't even find my own episodes on Spotify without having the direct link. I have two resources for you on this slide. The first is an article from Common Sense Education, 19 Great Learning Podcasts for the Classroom. It's always difficult to find podcasts that are appropriate to use with your students, and so here's one place to go to find them. And if you click on the red book, it will take you to another great article on Common Sense Education's page called Great Podcast Episodes for Students and Teachers, that's filled with great ideas to get you and your students started with podcasting.
Life pro tip, make sure you check your filters at your school before you try to do any of this, because I was teaching podcasting in a school that blocked all the podcasts I wanted to reference, and that made it a little challenging. So, of course, on the fly, I figured out what to do, but just in the hopes of avoiding that train wreck for you, from me to you.
If you want to dig in a little bit more, let me point you to Betsy Potash, one of my favorite educational podcasters. Everything I learned about podcasting with students, I learned from Betsy. On the left is a screenshot of podcasts and resources from Betsy, about all the different ways that you might use and create podcasts with your students. You can access this page by clicking on the red book in the corner. And on the right is an example of a podcasting template that I got from Betsy, which is accessible by clicking the link below the image. This template is one that my students completed when creating their own podcast during my Great Gatsby unit. Everything on that slide was created by my students: the image, the descriptions, and the podcast episodes that are linked in blue. Really, you will be blown away by what your students can do once you start podcasting with them. Okay, but I know there are some topics that we have to teach our students don't always love, like MLA format. I swear my students think that I made it up just to torture them. How can I make those must-do lessons that I don't love more engaging?
Mentimeter. Enhance learning potential, teachers, engage students, quizzes, polls, games. Real-time feedback empowers teachers. Adjust methods. Mentimeter. Impactful for all students. Why would you use a word cloud or an instant poll? Number one, the aforementioned John Hattie told us we should be making thinking visible. Do we all know Hattie's books, Making Thinking Visible or Visible Learning for Teachers, Maximizing Impact on Learning? They are great if you don't. Reason number two to love Mentimeter, it allows for great conversation starters. And number three, it works as everything from a formative assessment to a group quiz to a physical record of engagement and understanding. And number four, it's entirely customizable. So you can whip up an MLA citation quiz or dangling participle challenge and not only gamify, but get instant feedback about how the information is landing with your students. And if you feel like word clouds and Mentimeter may not be for you, well, let's turn them into poetic exercises. Here's a couple examples from a New Yorker article I found that captured the hilarity that word clouds can provide when you think about a really narrowly described audience that is being word clouded, if that's a verb. What a great exercise for readers or in a history class. What might a particular author or historical figure's word cloud look like? So I came up with one for Hester Prynne, the major character in The Scarlet Letter. And the New Yorker icon on the bottom right will take you to one of my all-time favorite comedy sources, which is often, but not always, appropriate for the classroom, the Borowitz Report, which has a bunch more examples of these that might spark your imagination. And again, we said not everything would be a tech tool, but this is just a way to use something that has a tech aspect to it for engagement and kind of processing. Bueller. Bueller. It is time for class discussion, and of course, Mr. Bueller is nowhere to be found. Has to be his day off. Or maybe he's asleep or on his phone. We have all been there, valiantly attempting to lead a rousing, equitable, thoughtful class conversation, only to find ourselves in scenario 1. The boys who are present will not shut up. Scenario 2. The girls are all here and are all clearly following along, but not about to volunteer to speak in front of those pain in the boys. Scenario 3A, vice versa. Scenario 3B, some combination thereof. And I know we've all been trapped in the purgatory of scenario 4. No one talks. Pins drop, and it is deafening. And you, for the umpteenth time, are left to ponder alone and aloud the possible ramifications and powerful symbolism of the green light at the end of Gatsby's dock. Is that the best we can hope for, Kate? Do we just have to beat on boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly into the past?
Oh, Parlay, how you revolutionized the classroom discussions that we once despised. No more awkward silence, no more one voice. With you, every student has a choice. Your platform, so intuitive and neat, engages our students every seat. We see the quiet ones come out of their shell and the confident ones listen as well. Parlay, you make us excited to learn, and for that, our gratitude we must return. For with you, our classroom discussions thrive, and in the process, our students truly come alive. Parlay is a freemium, comprehensive discussion platform that facilitates threaded written discussions called written roundtables and live face-to-face discussions called verbal roundtables. While Parlay is an elegant solution for both written and verbal roundtables, I only have time to focus on one of them today. So let's look at what it has to offer for written roundtables, which is the way a majority of its users use the platform. First, we'll look at the universe here on your screen. The Parlay universe includes collections of prompts that are ready to use, supplied by Parlay and by teacher users that span both academic and non-academic subject areas. English teachers will find topics like argumentative writing, famous speeches, poetry, rhetoric and persuasion, short stories, AP language skills from the Garden of English, and prompts for specific commonly taught texts. Don't see a topic that works for you? While that's highly unlikely it happens, you'll also have your ability to create your own. These prompts can be used for a written threaded discussion called that written roundtable, where students can post and respond to their peers. One of my students' favorite features is the anonymity feature, where students are assigned a historical figure as their identity. Teachers can see who the students are, leaving them free to post and respond without their classmates knowing the identity behind the writing. It also creates these beautiful images here from the data that it collects at the end of a discussion. So you end up with the ability to see who responded and who got responded, what the average comment length was. Creates one of those word clouds that Jonathan was just describing. And it also creates a Harkness circle, so you can actually see the interactions. And one of the things that I really like about this data is not only is the data incredibly beautiful and easy to read and use, but Parlay also gives you reflection questions to use with students to analyze that data. So if you click on the little question mark above each data set, you will actually see reflection questions that will help you and your students reflect on what they are seeing to improve your discussions going forward.
Kate, it feels like a lot of work to have to do on your own, especially if you're not familiar with this platform.
Well, fortunately, they've added in their Genie for creating prompts. So if you don't have a lot of time to create a new prompt, you can use Parlay's new AI integration, the Genie. It's going to pop up here on the screen. There it is. And so with the Genie, it will ask you how many questions you want it to create about what topic, or you can post in a link to a video, and it will read that video for you. And then it will create questions based on the grade level that you assign to it. And so these are questions that it created for me after I gave it the topic consumerism and the Great Gatsby. So you can create a prompt in 45 seconds. And if you're not happy using AI technology, that's not something that you want to do, you can speak to a real human on the other end by using their Content Concierge offering. So if you click on Content Concierge, even on the free version, you can fill out this form and have Parlay create a custom topic just for you. And they generally do it within 24 to 36 hours.
Just to be clear, Kate is not paid by Parlay, but she has completely convinced me that it's unbelievably valuable. Nice work, people at Parlay.
What's for breakfast? Instagram. What's for lunch? Fortnite. What's for dinner? TikTok. Constantly eating the feed. Jonathan, how might we turn our students from these mindless consumers to thoughtful creators?
With WeVideo, you can collaborate and share your creations with the world. No need to compare. And the best part, it's all done in the cloud. So no matter where you are, your creativity can be loud. And who could forget Canva? Your creativity makes us proud. Digital design tool, innovative and user-friendly, creates stunning visuals and graphics, content powerhouse. Canva. WeVideo is fairly self-explanatory, looks very much like what Kate showed you for podcasting, but with the addition of the editing components for visual elements. However, Canva is its own incredible beast, and I did want to share with you a few features that it has to offer. So here are just some of the things Canva can do. Has templates, as I said earlier, that allow you to begin with those. I'm going to show you a quick example of the social media post template in a minute, but let me say free, totally free for educators, not freemium, free as in you get the best they have to offer for free. Canva is a private industry-driven web-based tool used by professional designers, and the company is so committed to schools and teachers that they use those profits to make every aspect of the design studio available to you as educators. Thousands of templates, icons, images, fonts, colors, anything you can imagine, and you can collaborate, and okay, you get it. So please join me in pledging. I shall never again bear witness as my students mindlessly scroll past depictions of earth-shattering memes such as those depicting, I don't know, miniature angered mammal attacks. Instead, I shall wisecrack. Way to consume content there, Bobby. Really scintillating stuff. And then I shall offer up Canva and ask, what might you create instead? Show them where to click on the social media icon, how to select their platform of choice, and then do what I did in under 60 seconds. Grab a pre-populated template, drag and drop an image here, the bookshelf icon, layer on the Flame PNG file, which is also in there, and then type in your text. Or just start with a blank slate and do the exact same thing if you're feeling more creative. While you're at it, have them include an amazing quote like, "There is irony in banning books when so many of the greatest works of literature warn us of the repercussions of doing so." Hannah Hippolyto. Who is this woman, by the way? I wondered when I found her quoted in the New York Times in an article about school boards banning books in Florida. She is amazing. Well, yes, she is. She's also 17 and a high school senior, which I learned when I found her account on LinkedIn. Hey, Bobby, put the squirrel down. Why can't you be more like Hannah? Dave Burgess, the incredible captain at the helm of the website and book series Teach Like a Pirate, describes our next professional dilemma this way. He muses, if only we had a set of lesson frames that we could use over and over, switching in and out our content that would allow students to master the fundamentals of learning and collaboration and be able to dominate the required curriculum in a faster and more efficient way. Dave's further thoughts on our next tool are linked on the bottom right here where you see the skull and crossbones, and as you might imagine from the way he phrased it, he has a pretty good answer.
I have just the thing. The teacher stands before the class, a weight upon their shoulders mass. The lesson plan is yet to come, and stress and worry make them numb. But then they remember the tool EduProtocols that makes them cool. For lesson planning is a breeze, and student engagement comes with ease. EduProtocols are lesson shells or frames into which you insert your curriculum to teach more effectively and deliver engaging content. These lesson frames adapt to any lesson. Teachers are encouraged to choose a few favorite EduProtocols and use them with students during the first week or two of class, teaching them the process of the protocol with content that has a low cognitive load. Then as you enter more challenging content in your class, they know the process and the protocols and they can focus on the content. These protocols create a workflow for students that allows them to focus on the learning, collaboration, and creativity. Clicking on the red book will take you to the EduProtocol site where you can learn more, but I also would not be amiss to share that there are EduProtocols books as well that I highly recommend. So what are my favorite EduProtocols, you ask? Well, the first is the Iron Chef protocol, where students use a shared template slide deck in a jigsaw format to learn content and practice presentation skills. Just like the TV show Iron Chef, students have to complete a task using limited resources and limited time. They get just 10 minutes. The teacher creates a slide deck to be shared among a group of 4 students. Each slide has a different link to a content resource that you want them to explore. The students research the content using the provided link on their slide and then use the newly gained information to complete building out the slide with 5 or more facts about what they learned from their resource, an image, and the secret ingredient, which might be something that you have them include, like a list, a trivia question, 3 additional facts, a video, whatever it is that you can dream up. When the 10 minutes are up, the presentations begin. Each team has 1 or 2 minutes to present each slide, depending on the age of your students and the content they're sharing. Iron Chef is fast and delightful, and it really builds their confidence. Again, once the students know the protocol, all it takes for you to build an engaging lesson are links to content and the voice to call out. It's Iron Chef time. My next favorite EduProtocol is the Thin Slides protocol. In this protocol, each student creates a single slide in a slide deck that is shared with the class. The teacher gives a key concept, such as a word or a theme, for students to explore in 5 minutes, and then they are to build 1 slide in that time frame using their choice of 1 word and 1 image that relates to the prompt. When 5 minutes are up, each student has 8 to 12 seconds to present his or her slide. Quickly getting input from the entire class is the main goal of Thin Slides, so it's great for a morning check-in, for a quick review, or for feedback after a lesson. Finally, my favorite way to teach and reinforce vocabulary is the Fast and the Curious protocol. On Monday, you begin with a multiple choice vocab quiz over new words that the students see for the very first time when they get the quiz. You'll use a self-grading quiz app that is recommended on the website and in the EduProtocols books, so you can view the scores immediately together. Go over the vocabulary that they missed, explaining the correct answers, and then give the quiz again. Yep, it's repetitive. That's the point. It takes about 10 minutes. On Tuesday and Wednesday, begin class with the same quiz, dropping the questions that students are getting correct. Your quizzes should be getting shorter now. On Thursday, give the original quiz with all the questions with the goal of the class scoring 95% or better. If they meet that goal on Thursday, they're done for the week and you gain that 10 minutes back on Friday to do something else that's fun. If the class doesn't score 95% or better, you can use Friday to do some reteaching and quiz 1 more time. There's no formal quiz. The entire class gets the 95% or better. Next week begins another round with a new set of questions. There are so many more EduProtocols I love, and I'll just pique your interest by sharing their titles: Speed Geeking, Persuasive Arguments, Emoji Power Paragraph, Debate It, and Book a Kucha. Clicking on the red book on the slide will take you to a YouTube playlist where you can learn more.
We're going to pause there and we'll come back to Act 2 in our next session. Thanks. See you again soon.